In this video, we're going to cover installing the latest version of Dolphin for Xbox Series X and S. A new major update to Dolphin for UWP has just dropped from Sir Mangler, and now it includes a full front end for a much more friendly user experience. And this front end was designed by Reverie, and it looks really awesome. And for anyone looking to just start up and play Dolphin without much configuration, this is a really good thing. It's a lot easier to just jump in and start playing games. Unfortunately, if you do want to do some more advanced configurations with cheats, HD texture packs, well, not really HD texture packs, but cheats, the broadband adapter, multiplayer, you're still going to need to use the PC version of Dolphin to do that. But for single player only experiences, it's just really so much easier to jump in. But let's go ahead and dive in. So to get started with Dolphin for UWP, you need to decide if you're doing retail mode or dev mode. I'm going to go over dev mode first and then touch on the steps for retail mode. But if you need help getting dev mode set up and activated, there will be a link down in the description below for my RetroArch setup guide that has the entire sign up process laid out for you. And just follow along with that to get dev mode activated, and then come back to this guide and continue on. Once your dev mode is activated and ready to go, you just need to download the latest version of Dolphin Emulator for UWP. So as of this video, it is 1.12 or 1.12. But link to Sir Mangler's GitHub page will be in the link below. So you just go ahead and scroll down and download the Dolphin UWP.appx bundle. Once you have that downloaded, just make note of your Xbox's remote access address and type it into your web browser on your PC. And you may get a warning about how the connection isn't private. That's fine, just click advanced and continue anyway. And once the device portal is finished loading up, just click on add, choose file, or you could drag the Dolphin package in right there, and then just select Dolphin, click on next. No dependencies for this one, so click on start to get it installed. And done. And with that, we are done with the Xbox device portal and Dolphin is installed. Now, back over on your Xbox, you'll see a new Dolphin Emulator entry here in your games and apps. So just press your menu or view button, back button is what I like to call it. It's just the friggin' back button, to bring up the properties window here. And we want to go to view details, and we need to change this from UWP app to UWP game. That way we get the full power. And once that change has been made, I always like to restart the console. You might not have to do this. I still don't know if it really makes that big of a difference, but I like to do it anyway because it doesn't take that long to reboot. And now that the console is rebooted, I'm just going to go ahead and verify that the change has taken effect. Yes, it has. Good. That is now ready to go. And now a note for anyone interested in a retail mode install. You can only get the app links through the Gamer13 Discord page for the time being, because Microsoft is delisting them pretty dang quick these days because they don't want emulators on their app store. So you'll join the Gamer13 Discord, wait for their retail announcements for the app links, and then you only have that short window that they're available to get it registered to your account. Then you can download it to your Xbox. And now that you have Dolphin installed either in dev mode or retail mode, we are going to prep our USB drive, be that an SSD, mechanical hard drive, or thumb drive, to use with Dolphin. And yes, you are going to want to use a USB drive if you plan on playing any games with an HD texture pack, or more than 30 gigs of storage is required, because the internal storage is limited to that 30 gigs inside the Q drive. And once you fill it, it breaks things. So buy a $20 flash drive, have more than enough space to do whatever you want. But first things first, you need to format your drive into NTFS and set the security permissions on it inside of a Windows OS install. Otherwise, it will not work correctly. You will end up with black screens and just all kinds of issues. So here is how to set up that drive again from my RetroArch setup vid, just in case you don't have a drive already ready to go. I recommend getting an external thumb drive or SSD for best performance, anything with a fast file transfer rate. Mechanical hard drives do also work, but if you want to do HD texture packs, they're not going to work as well. You'll miss out on some textures, they might not load at all. So an external thumb drive or SSD is recommended. So for today's example, I have a Crucial X6 1TB external SSD plugged into my computer. And this step does require you to have a Windows 10 or 11 PC. So if you are on Mac or Linux, get a VM with Windows 10 or 11 so you could do this step. After this step is completed, you can go right back to using your Mac or Linux install, as long as it can read NTFS drives. But for this step, you do need to be able to access the Windows Security tab, and that is only available on Windows 10 and 11, I believe. But anyway, make sure your drive is formatted as NTFS. So NTFS, if it is not formatted, you could just right-click on it. Format. Choose NTFS. Quick format, start. Okay, done. Once the drive is formatted, right-click, Properties, Security tab, Advanced, Add, select a principal, type in all location packages, and then click on check name so it gets it correctly placed. So there we go. If it pops up all caps, all application packages like so, it is done correctly. Then press OK. Now click on full control and OK. And finally, click on replace all child object permission entries with inheritable permission entries from this object. And then press OK. And it will give you this error about replacing defined permissions, so just click on yes. And if you get an error for a certain file like the security volume information, just click on continue. And with that, your drive is now ready to use. And now that you have your USB drive formatted into NTFS and the security permissions set, we just need to acquire some games. So GameCube, Wii, and Wii Virtual Console games are all supported. If you happen to have a modded Wii or GameCube, you can use that to dump your GameCube and Wii games. Obviously, you would need a Wii for a Wii game dump, but I have guides on the channel on how to back up your physical collection if desired, and I'm in the works of making a Virtual Console and WiiWare dumping guide as well. Don't have that one quite ready, but it is coming. But links to this playlist will be in the description below, so that way you can back up your own stuff as well as your own memory card saves if you want to use them inside of Dolphin. But once you have your games sourced, we just need to add them anywhere you want on your USB drive, so just get that opened up. I have previously made a games folder during my RetroArch tutorial series that I've actually already put all these games into, so just store them wherever you want on your USB drive. It won't really matter a whole lot. Just drag and drop and be happy. So like I said, I already have these on my SSD, so I'm not gonna spend the time waiting for them to copy over again. So again, just put them wherever you want on your USB drive, SSD, thumb drive, HDD, shouldn't matter a whole lot. But once you have your games placed, just head back up to the root of your drive here. So now we are going to make a new folder that we are going to use for our Dolphin system folder, basically, essentially our configuration folder. It holds everything that we're going to use within Dolphin. So just right click, new folder, and you can name it whatever you want. You can just name it Dolphin, you can name it Dolphin Emulator. It really doesn't matter anymore because we can change where Dolphin looks for this folder. So I'm just going to name mine Dolphin and call it a day. But with that folder created and my games in place, we're ready to take the hard drive out of our computer and put it into our Xbox. So after getting that hard drive hooked up to your Xbox, if it asks you to format it as games or media storage, choose media. Otherwise, everything that's on it is going to be deleted. We need it to be media storage. Go ahead and launch into Dolphin Emulator, whether you are on retail mode or dev mode. And that first time you boot it up, it can take some time, so just bear with it. And once Dolphin is finished loading up, you'll be greeted by the new Dolphin UI by Reverie. And again, this makes things a heck of a lot easier for anyone just wanting to sit down and play some GameCube games without a whole lot of fuss. The first thing we're going to do is press that back button, or the view button, whatever the frick they call it now. Go into settings. And with the settings menu opened up, just head over to the paths and folder options. So you use your left thumbstick rather, to move around the options menu. So just go up to the tabs up here and scroll over to paths and folders and press A. And we're going to scroll down to set Dolphin user folder location and press A. So for anyone that has already set up a previous version of Dolphin, this is where you choose that old Dolphin system folder you were already using. You don't have to make a whole new folder. You can just keep using the one you already had if you have it. But anyway, scroll down to the little USB icon here that appears. Press A and choose your Dolphin folder. So again, if you have a previously set up one, just go ahead and select it. If not, choose the new one that you made here. And now press your view button, back button, and choose Select. And that has now set your new Dolphin user folder location to your USB drive. And with that new folder location set, just go ahead and press your Xbox guide button and quit out of Dolphin just to kind of force it to save the changes before we make any configuration changes. But anyway, heading back in, go back into your settings menu, and then same deal as before, we could go over to paths and folders, and let's go ahead and add our game folder path. So click on Add Path, navigate down to your USB drive, and then just choose your GameCube games folder. Then you can go back into Add Paths and add our Wii games folder. And then same thing to add our Virtual Console games folder. Whoops. There we go. And there we go. And now we could just press L3 plus the back button to exit out of the settings menu to populate our games list. And it might take a hot minute depending on how many games you have, so just bear with it while it does its thing. And there we go. So there is all of the games within my folders for GameCube, Wii, and Virtual Console, and cover art should populate automatically for each game. It can be a little broken at times. Sometimes it'll say artwork not found, other times it'll pop up just as it's supposed to. So again, this is kind of beta work still, so just bear with it as it improves. It's still really cool that it's just that automatic. You don't have to worry about adding anything in yourself, so gotta love it. But from here, you can just press A on a game and begin playing it on default settings. So again, very straightforward and easy to set up and play unlike before. But I just kind of want to get things configured beforehand before I dive in. So going back into the settings menu under the General tab, I like to enable change disks automatically for multi-disc games. That way you don't have to worry about it. Interface options, if you want to have the FPS counter up in the top right corner, you can enable that. If you want to have it so it doesn't show those on-screen messages, you can disable that here as well. Graphics tab, I recommend leaving VSync enabled. But if you press A on internal resolution, you'll see that it's set to 1080p by default, so you could change this up to 1440p on Series S just fine. I'm using the Series S for today's demonstration, so I don't really want to go up to 4K. 1440p is just fine. But you can close this menu option by pressing left on your thumbstick to minimize it. But then you can come in here and change the aspect ratio, so you can force a 16:9 aspect ratio, 4:3. Auto tries its best to determine if something's supposed to be in 16:9 or 4:3, but it can be glitchy in some games like Custom Robo. Shader compilation, this is set to hybrid Uber shaders by default, which is what we want. On Series X, you could probably get away with exclusive Uber shaders. I haven't really tested it, but hybrid should be perfect for most use cases. And then you can enable anti-aliasing if desired, and anisotropic filtering, and then fog and per pixel lighting if desired as well. Moving on, GameCube tab. So you can set your system language here. You can choose what's in slot A, so GCI folder is great, that way you don't have to worry about running out of save room. But under slot B, I recommend setting this as just a standard memory card, so that way you can save things to it that might not work right under a GCI folder, such as Phantasy Star Online's network configuration file. It will not work from a GCI folder, so you will need a memory card. And then under SP1, you can enable a broadband adapter if you desire. If you plan on playing Phantasy Star Online, you just choose broadband adapter HLE. Now under the Wii tab, if you have PAL games, you can enable a PAL 60, system language, and then whether or not it's in stereo, surround, mono, Japanese. Cool deal. And then we have the paths folder, so we already covered that. And then finally the advanced folder, so you can enable a VI skip, you can enable or disable custom textures here. Prefetch custom textures, definitely enable that one if you are planning on using custom textures because it makes things a lot better. Graphics mods. And then you can change the texture cache accuracy. This is all stuff that's set on a per game basis for the texture cache accuracy, so you shouldn't need to mess with this. But then we also have the CPU clock override, and this is how you underclock or overclock your emulated GameCube CPU. So this is needed for Rogue Squadron 2 if you want to just get a full speed experience without any of the audio stuttering at the sacrifice of FPS. So on Series S, I believe I had to knock it down to about 75% for that game. But it's something I like to have configured on a per game basis personally, so shouldn't have to mess with it here on a system level. But anyway, there we go. There's our settings. So now I'm just going to go ahead and start up a game. And when you start up a game, shader compilation is on by default, so this helps prevent any stutters during gameplay, so it comes at the sacrifice of increased boot up times, but definitely well worth it when you actually get into gameplay. And there we go, Metroid Prime for Nintendo GameCube, booted up on an Xbox Series S. So very cool. Now, one of the great things about these new Dolphin builds is that their built-in default controls actually don't overwrite themselves. I haven't experienced that happening yet, so you don't have to worry about your controls not working anymore. So, layout is set to standard Xbox controls, so if you prefer having a Nintendo layout, you will need to manually configure that on the PC version of Dolphin and move over to the Xbox, but for anyone that's just looking to get started up and playing games, all buttons are labeled according to Xbox control schemes. Analog triggers function properly, so you are able to fully enjoy all of your GameCube games. Now, that being said, again, multiplayer is not enabled by default, so if you want to play multiplayer games, you are going to need to do some controller configuration within the PC version of Dolphin that I will cover in a bit. You can look in the timestamps to see where those happen. But there we go, Metroid Prime, GameCube version, working under Dolphin under Xbox Series S, so very cool stuff. Anyway, moving on. So if you want to access your in-game menu, you just click down on your left thumbstick and press the view back button thingy, and that'll let you change a number of settings within a game as well, so you can enable show FPS if you desire. You got your internal resolutions, and then aspect ratio and all that you can change within the game itself. But then there's also the wonderful exit game option here. That does work now, so that's awesome. Another great fix. So, under default control schemes, you should be able to enjoy most things. Virtual Console Wii, GameCube. So, for example, here is Virtual Console version of Final Fight 2. Just working as expected. And then just a quick demo here is New Super Mario Bros. For the Wii. And unfortunately, it still doesn't have any of the motion controls built in by default under the controller profile here, so not quite as playable as GameCube and Virtual Console stuff. So you will need to fine-tune Wii controls to just match your preferences in-game. But as far as pick-up and play capabilities go, this new build of Dolphin is really great, and again, perfect for anyone that's just doing single-player gaming experiences. You will need to configure Wii stuff on the PC side of things still, but for the most part, such a great improvement, and I can't wait till they actually include settings for controller options within the menu itself. Hopefully next update. But now we are just going to go over how to enable multiplayer, cheats, HD texture packs, and a number of other fun goodies for Dolphin that you can use on the Xbox version if you don't mind configuring it through a PC. Alright, so to start with the advanced configuration, we just need to grab the latest dev version of Dolphin. So just head over to the Dolphin download page, link will be in the description below, and grab the latest dev version here. So this tutorial showing it for Windows. This might work on the Mac version, it might work on the Linux version, I don't know. I just cover Windows specifically, so that is what I am showcasing. But once you have the PC version downloaded, just go ahead and get it extracted. It is in 7-zip format, so you need to have 7-zip installed. And then you can just get it extracted there. And inside, you'll see your Dolphin executable. So before we launch Dolphin, right-click, New, Text Document, and name it Portable. This is an essential step. If you don't have this, your Dolphin user folder won't save in this folder, and you won't be able to follow along with these steps and have it work. But with the portable file in place, launch Dolphin. And you'll see that it has created a new user folder right here. That is key. Alright. So now just go ahead and close out a Dolphin. Open up that user folder, and then just kind of set it aside for a second. Now, go ahead and take your USB drive out of your Xbox and plug it into your computer. And inside your Dolphin folder, you should see the exact same folders that you see in this user folder for Dolphin. So just go ahead and select every folder in your Xbox folder and drag them into the Dolphin user folder over here. And when asked, tell it to replace the files in the destination. There we go. Now our PC Dolphin build is going to have the same settings that our Xbox version currently had. Go ahead and launch into Dolphin. And then you could choose yes or no here, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. From here, let's go ahead and get controllers configured to our liking. So, if you want to enable multiplayer support, you're going to need to enable additional controllers on player 2, 3, and 4 as needed. Now, to configure a controller, this is important. You are going to plug your Xbox controllers into your PC so you can configure them to use on Dolphin on Xbox. So I'm plugging in my Series S controller right now. So now under the Configure tab, click on the drop-down box and you will see WG Input 0 Xbox One Game Controller. The 0 stands for Player 1. So select that option and go through and configure your controller how you like. So I prefer Nintendo's button layouts over the default ones that were built into Xbox Dolphin, so that's what I'm configuring it as. And then you can make sure you get your analog triggers. And now under rumble motors, you're going to select L, operators, or, and then select R. So that way you get rumble support. And there we go. There is a basic GameCube controller configuration setup. If you want to make the experience a bit more authentic, you can calibrate each of your controller ports to match your Xbox controller that you're going to use for those ports. And this is something important to note. You want to match the controller to the port if you use the calibrate option. So if you have a player 1 controller, you always want it to be player 1, player 2, so on. Because Xbox controllers are not always the same, and thumbstick ranges can vary wildly between them. So there we go. Now my left analog stick is matching that of an actual GameCube's ranges. But I've specifically chosen this particular controller because its right analog stick is a bit funky. So here we go. You can see that it's just not that great. It has some range shortcomings in a lot of areas, so that is one of the reasons why calibration can be important if you want to hit proper diagonals and such. But there we go. So a little bit better. So you can see how it just can't hit some of these ranges unless I go from one direction or another. It's such a screwed up controller, but whatever. Anyway, that is the point of the calibration option there. But once that's done, you can just close. And now if you want to get a second player configured, just go ahead and select standard controller, select configure, and now you need to plug in a second Xbox controller. So that's the important thing to remember. You need to plug in a second Xbox controller. So then down in the drop-down box here, you will see a WG input with a 1 next to it. So the 1 means player 2. Do not select the 0, otherwise your player 1 controller will control both ports. You want to choose the 1. And then just go through and configure the controller as you see fit once again. And there we go. Player 2's controller is now configured. Again, make sure you choose the 1. And now if you want to make a player 3 controller, same deal. Standard controller, configure. Hook a third controller up to your computer. Now in the drop-down box, you will see WG Input 2. That is player 3. And then you can go through and configure all the controls again. And then finally, the same thing for player 4. You can go in, standard controller, configure, hook your 4th controller up to your PC. In the drop-down box, go to WG Input 3, and then configure it once again. And there we go, 4 GameCube controllers mapped up to individual ports and ready to go. Now, as for Wii controller configuration, things get a little more complicated because of Xbox's limited inputs and the Wii's motion controller stuff. So I can show you how to set it up, but how you want to set it up is really going to be up to your own discretion. So you could go through, choose your different controller ports. So for Wii Remote 1, you're going to choose the 0 option again, WG Input 0. and then you can just go through and begin configuring up your controller. So buttons, D-pad, hotkeys, your extensions, motion simulations, motion inputs, the extensions. So again, this is all going to be personal preference on how you configure your Wii stuff. But configuration for controller numbers are going to be the same as with GameCube. So again, port 1, player 1 will be 0, player 2 will be 1, player 3 will be 2, and player 4 will be 3. So just choose those ones as needed. And while we're here, you might be interested in getting your broadband adapters set up completely for Phantasy Star Online. So if you head into the configuration tab here, you'll see the GameCube tab here, and it's set up as we set it up on the Xbox as we saw before. But we're just going to click on the 3 buttons here to set the DNS server. It's set to Stack by default. If you want to change to Silverant, you can do so here, but you just need to click on these buttons to register that DNS address. So there you go. And while we're here as well, one thing I will make mention of, this new version of Dolphin does not like the GameCube IPL. If you have the GameCube IPL, but for anyone interested in getting Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2 set up with Dolphin for Stack or Silverant private servers, I do have a dedicated video on how to do that. Link will be in the description below for anyone interested. I'm not going to go over it in depth in this video because it's redundant information, so this video will set you up. Don't use it right now. It just makes it so you'll crash to dashboard every time, so just gotta leave it disabled for the time being. Now, if you are configuring things on the PC version of Dolphin, you do need to change some settings inside the graphics tab because they do get defaulted to something that won't work with the Xbox. So as you can see here, it is now set to OpenGL. We don't want that, so go ahead and choose Direct3D 12. And again, you'll want to enable VSync, start in full screen, and then enable exclusive or hybrid Uber shaders rather. And then if you're on a Series X, you could try exclusive, but hybrid should be good for most use cases. And then make sure compile shaders before starting is still enabled. And then in enhancements, it should all be the same here. And hacks and advanced, like all this should still be set to how it is on your Xbox. The only thing you need to make sure of is that you change the backend back to Direct3D 12 or 11, and then your shader compilation method. And with that, you are now ready to begin playing multiplayer games. So just go ahead and close out of the PC version of Dolphin. And then in your user folder here, you could just go ahead and select everything and drag it back over to your Xbox's USB drive. And then replace everything that's already there. There we go. Now, inside your config folder, this is kind of important with the UWP build of Dolphin. It likes to break things and reset settings. So you just want to go ahead and select everything and kind of set it to read only. That way you don't have to worry about your control settings being overwritten, your video settings being overwritten, anything like that. But now back over on your Xbox, make sure you get your USB drive plugged back in before loading back into Dolphin. Otherwise your user folder is going to be different and messed up. So make sure your USB drive is always plugged in before launching. But now just a quick multiplayer demonstration here. Let's go ahead and load up Super Smash Brothers. I should have gone the other way, it would have been quicker. But anyway, here we go, Super Smash Brothers Melee. But here we go, multiplayer demonstration. So we configured the 2 controllers. I only have 2 controllers plugged in right now, and I am now able to independently use both of them, unlike before under default settings where we actually can't use them. And then I also reconfigured the controllers to be with the Nintendo layout, which is what I prefer. But yeah, we're able to just enjoy multiplayer gaming now. So again, I'm hoping that we'll see controller configurations on the PC version itself in the next major update. Now, one thing to mention, if you do change your controls to Nintendo layout, when you go into the quick menu here, the accept button inside the menu is set to whatever you have set as A on the GameCube controller layout. So it is now set to B for me. So if I come in here and look at everything and try to do stuff, I have to press B to set this all up. But yeah, just something to note in case you change your default button schemes. Accept in the menu is always your GameCube layout's A button. Now let's quickly discuss how to move save files over from either the PC version of Dolphin or you backed up save files from an actual memory card. Again, I have a video showing you how to back up saves from a memory card, but anyway. I have here a memory card for slot B, and then I have a bunch of save files for a bunch of different games right here as well. So moving these over into the Xbox version of Dolphin is quite simple. Just open up your Dolphin folder. Go into the GC folder. And so for memory card B, you can just drag it in. Raw memory card files typically could just go in the base GC folder. But anyway, saves are region specific. So if you have a GCI folder for European games, they'll go in here. Japanese games will go in here. And then US games will go in here. And if you have GCI folders on card A and card B, it'll say right here, card A, card B. And then you could just simply drag GCI files right on in. So here we go. So I want to add in my GCI files for these games and just bring them right in here. There we go. Now I have my GameCube saves moved over, and this will let me show you a nice PSO demo running online through Dolphin. For Wii saves, the process is a bit different. You're basically just gonna copy stuff into the Wii folder here. I'm hoping to have a dedicated Wii saves video in the next couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. Alright, but here's a quick demonstration of Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2 running online through Dolphin on Xbox. So, online game. I need to tell it to use slot B for my network configuration file. Need to format the memory card because I haven't done so yet, but there we go. Alright, there we go. Use slot B. Yes. 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 Alright, return to game. Yes. 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 Alright, so now back in online game. And again, I've already set this up to use online in my last Dolphin video, so moving that save folder in has already made it so it's ready to go. So don't need to put in any of that network information files and all that weird stuff. Again, refer to my Phantasy Star Online for Dolphin video if you want to get this all set up and going on your end. And there we go, connected to the Stack server for GameCube PSO play on the Xbox Series S. Ta-da! Cool stuff. Look, we even have other players in here. Look at that. People. We got people. Dude, Mr. Digital Jack's playing on original Xbox. Cool. Now let's go ahead and cover cheats real quick. So if we head back into our PC version of Dolphin here, we just need to go ahead and add directories for our GameCube, Wii, and Virtual Console games that we want to use cheats for. So you can just add the paths for your games on your USB drive. So here we go. Games. GameCube games. Select folder. Add. Wii Virtual Console. Add. Nintendo Wii games, wherever they are. I can find stuff, promise. Alright, anyway. And then turn on search subfolders, there we go. Alright, so to enable cheats, the first thing we need to do, after getting our games to actually show up, you need to head into the config tab, go to general, and click on enable cheats. And then just go ahead and close it out. Now select the game that you want to add cheats for, or any other special properties. Right click, properties, AR codes, and you'll see that there are a selection of codes for most titles here. There's also the option for Gecko codes, and you can try to download Gecko codes. There might not always be codes for them, so chances are the AR code section is going to probably have everything you need. But just to give a demonstration, Mario Kart Double Dash, I'm going to have everything unlocked. There we go. So now I'm just going to go ahead and close out of that. And now for another example here, we're going to go down to Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. I have the Wii and GameCube version of that game. So properties, patches, Hyrule Field Speedhack. I want to enable this so that way the woods at the beginning of the game and Hyrule Field don't lag considerably when trying to play under the Xbox. And I'm just going to do it for both versions of the game. There we go. Those are now ready to go. You can also use this opportunity to manually set any game settings that you desire within Dolphin. So you could go through and manually configure a number of games. So if you want to use 60 FPS patches, widescreen patches, just any number of things, you could go ahead and do so now. So I'm just going to refer back to my older Dolphin video here to show you how to manually set that stuff up real quick. So for Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, under that HD texture pack thread, there was a gecko code for the USA version of the game to have widescreen. So I'm just going to copy this code in real quick. There we go. I'm going to go into the properties for Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. I'm going to go to the gecko code page, add new code. Name of the code will be widescreen. And I'm going to paste that code into the editor. Notes makes game widescreen. Sure, why not? Cool. And I'm going to save that one, and now it is enabled. Cool. Perfect. And then I wanted to give my copy of Twin Snakes a 4:16:9 aspect ratio, but I don't want it to affect my other games that I still want to show up in 4:3. So I'm going to have to add a video settings aspect ratio equals 1 setting here. So I'm just going to copy that to make my life easier. Now under Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, I'm going to go into Properties, Editor, and then down here in User Config, click on the Presets button, Editor, and open in an external editor. Now that that's opened up, just going to paste that code in here, so I don't need an auto aspect ratio there. There we go. And we're just going to clean that up so it actually works. So there we go. Video settings aspect ratio equals 1. So that'll give us a force widescreen aspect ratio. And just going to save that real quick. There we go. And then just close out of that. And now I want to give Rogue Squadron 2 a slight CPU underclock to help it run better on the Xbox Series S. This is a game that really requires a CPU that's over 4 GHz, and the Series S is only 3.5, the Series X is 3.8. So it should run better on Series X than S, but I'm just going to give it that underclock to help it maintain full speed at the cost of frame rate. So same thing with this one, Properties, Editor, and then under the presets, I'm going to go into the editor, open in an external editor, and then back in these individual settings tab, we have the Set CPU Overclock. So we're just going to copy all of this code in here, then paste it into our notepad here. And under the value, I want to set this to 75% of the actual GameCube CPU speed. So that's going to be 0.75. And I'm just going to save that. There we go. So there we go. I've now got Hyrule Field Speedhacks enabled for both my versions of Zelda, Unlock Everything cheat code enabled for Mario Kart Double Dash, per game configuration files set up for Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes and Rogue Squadron 2 that include widescreen hacks and manual overclocking. But with that forum resource, you can set per game controls and any other number of options. But once you're done with that configuration, you can just go ahead and close back out of Dolphin, head into your user folder, and we're just going to copy everything back over to our Xbox. So heading into our Xbox Dolphin tab here. Now the thing to note, go into your config file, and you'll see that it has made like these weird backups for things that it couldn't quite overwrite before. So just gonna delete those real quick. They're not really that important, but they're just gonna get remade. But it helps us more easily select everything we need to do here, because we just need to make it so this stuff isn't read-only anymore. So we're just gonna come in, uncheck that, apply the changes. There we go. And now we can just go ahead and copy everything back over for all of our new saves to take effect. So copy, paste, replace, done. Now in the config folder again, I'm just going to set these all to write or read only again. Done. Now I'm just going to go ahead and take this out of my computer and put it back in the Xbox to show off some demonstrations. So for our first cheats demonstration, Mario Kart Double Dash now has its 100% unlock title screen. I don't have everything unlocked. You can see that there's no save file for memory card, or in memory card A for Mario Kart Double Dash, but it has the unlock menu, so everything is now unlocked. We got the Piranha Plant and King Boo unlocked, as well as the special carts as part of that. So, cheat code is working as intended. And Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes with that widescreen code in place. We have widescreen rendering here, and Snake isn't being stretched to unhealthy proportions. So, there we go. Working perfectly as intended. And finally, here is a quick demo for Rogue Squadron 2 using that underclock, so that way we lose some FPS, but the game itself does not start lagging and causing audio stutters. So, dips down to the 45 range, but that is more than acceptable in my mind compared to just hearing the audio just screech and grind to a halt. Like, it's disgusting. So, just a way to overcome that on systems that aren't quite fast enough for more demanding titles. Now, the last thing I want to cover in this video specifically is the use of HD texture packs. On Xbox Dolphin, HD texture packs do work as long as you have a faster USB thumb drive or an external SSD. Mechanical hard drives can struggle a bit with this, but they can still work. Dolphin has a wonderful custom texture project thread on its forums, and you can just scroll through and find HD texture packs for a number of different games. Now, according to a number of you in the comment section on the previous setup vid, if the texture packs go over 4 gigabytes, they don't work with prefetching. So as you're going through and getting your HD texture packs, you need to be aware of the total size that they are, otherwise they may not work. And a number of HD texture pack threads include things known as the half pack size or half size. So the Wind Waker one, for example, there's a full size which requires 9 gigs to prefetch, and then the half size one only requires 2.27 gigs, so that's the one that you're going to want to grab, so we'll just go ahead and do so here. And once your HD texture pack is downloaded, just go ahead and get it extracted. So here we go. And now inside the folder, we have our main HD texture pack folder here with GZL as our folder heading. So we're just going to copy that over to our USB drive. So go into your Dolphin folder, go to the load folder, textures, and then drag the folder right on in. And a number of HD texture packs have some optional textures and stuff to make things a little fun if you want to. So, I mean, you can go through and add this stuff if you're interested. But this one looks like it's just different shield effects and things like that. So I'm not going to really worry about it right now. Alright, now that it's copied over, we're ready to move it back over to the Xbox. So again, HD texture packs, when you download them, you're just looking for the folder with the game heading here. So GZL for Wind Waker here. So you're just going to drag them in the folder that they come in. And then I'm also going to add in a Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes HD texture pack that I've used previously because I really enjoy it. So this one comes in under that 4 gig mark, so it is just fine. And with those in place, I'm just going to go ahead and move back over to the Xbox. And there we go, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes HD texture pack in motion. So, love how much crisper text is on screen. The UI is just so good. It's so good. But again, as long as your HD texture packs are under 4 gigs, they should load up no problem. But over 4 gigs, you might run into a prefetching issue, so do be aware of that. And then I think we can disable them in-game here so you can kind of see what they look like before. There we go. So you can see that things are just a lot sharper with the HD texture pack on, so pretty neat little feature to be able to showcase it on and off for you here. So the text is definitely the biggest factor. Just looks so, so good. But with that, I have covered everything that I am planning to in this update of the Dolphin Emulator install guide for Xbox Series X and S. Again, for users that are just looking to get started and start playing, it's a lot simpler, but to get advanced features like your cheats and controllers, you still need to use that PC version of Dolphin to fine-tune that stuff as it stands right now. Hopefully the next major update brings along controller profiles that you can configure within the app, and hopefully per game settings that are a lot more easy to set up. But such great progress on the standalone emulator. Sir Mangler has done such amazing work with this, and the UI by Reverie is again just really nice to look at. Cannot wait to see where this goes from here, and as always, I will keep this video up to date when new things arrive. But thank you so much as always for watching. I do have a couple of big favors to ask here at the end though. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like-dislike button, just depending on how much you like today's tutorial, as well as that sub button and notification bell so you can see when new videos go live on the channel. Loads of content coming your way, and I always appreciate you being along for the ride. For anyone interested in further helping support the channel and keep it going, you can also check out that join button here on YouTube or the Patreon link in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. A little goes a long way to keeping this place up and running and bringing this content directly to you. Big shout out to all of our current backers. You're amazing, you're champions. Thank you for believing in what we do here and helping us keep it going. Y'all seriously rock. But until next time, my wonderful internet peeps, you all stay awesome, keep on gaming, and we'll see you back next video.